The original intention of Nietzsche was to clarify how tragedies got emerged. And for that, he looked into Greek culture and he found two tendencies, Apollonian and Dionysian. And in tragedy, both these opposing tendencies are synchronized. That is the reason why he has given a definition. Tragedy is the Apollonian embodiment of Dionysian instincts and powers. The emotions and instincts and intuitions, that is Dionysian. But that is given a shape, some sort of a boundary. That is what takes place with the help of the Apollonian tendency. So both are synchronized in tragedy. As I already told you, the example, the emotion of love, the emotion of despair, the emotion of any other emotion for that matter, or hope, the artist or the novelist gives a shape, a particular shape. Giving shape is Apollonian. Giving shape to what? Something that is shapeless. The emotion is shapeless. The emotion is power. It is dynamism, movement. That movement is given a shape. That is the reason why both these aspects are synchronized or brought together in tragedy according to Nietzschean understanding or explanation. That was the original intention of Nietzsche, the birth of how tragedy was born. But then when he found these twofold tendencies, you could not stop with that one. He looked deeper into this one, into the history of thought. And that is what he thinks further. He does not stop merely with the birth of tragedy, but rather he is extending his thought along the same line. And thus he makes based on the distinction that he has already made, Apollonian and Dionysian. And these two are later extended to truth and art. Apollonian and Dionysian. Apollonian is truth, and then Dionysian is art. So he's linking this Dionysian tendency to art and Apollonian tendency to truth. Now, when I use this expression, I don't think you will get anything out of that one. What is art? I given a few expressions there, but then they have to be understood. What is art? Art is creative illusions, fresh illusions. But when gradually art becomes truth, that is the reason why Nietzsche says truth consists of stale illusions, worn out illusions. Let me give the example of, for instance, when St. John uses God is love, he used a fresh illusion. To express God, he is using a creative expression. It was art, a fresh illusion. But gradually, by constantly using it, it has already become a truth. That means it has already entered into the dictionary and with an established meaning. Maybe another example would be better. The Vallabhbhai Patel is called the Bismarck of India. The Bismarck. Now, Bismarck is a German ruler. He unified whole Germany. Now, unification is almost identified with the term Bismarck. In India, the unification was carried out by Vallabhbhai Patel. Therefore, originally it was used, Patel is the Bismarck of India. It was an art, it was a fresh illusion, a creative thought. Slowly, it will become a stale illusion. That means it becomes a truth. Bismarck means someone who is unifying. Yeah, it gets a meaning. When it gets an established meaning, it is truth. But before, originally, it had a fresh meaning. So that is, it was art. Art eventually becomes truth. Art eventually becomes truth. Our primal mode of contact with the world is essentially as artists, as makers and images and metaphors. In other words, humans have been originally Dionysian, eventually they became Apollonian. What does it mean? Now, I know I am presupposing many things. What is originally humans are Dionysian? Originally humans are artists. What does it mean? It means that now I have given a list of phrases which is not, Nietzsche has not used, but then I have developed in one of my books. Originally humans have been singing, drawing, dancing, playing, and then it became speaking, writing, walking, and working. I can put them together like this. Originally, the humans have been singing, and then eventually it became speaking. Originally dancing, then it became walking. Originally drawing, then it became writing. Originally playing, then it became working. So, this is not simply to list. Even in the singing, what was the original singing? Of course, this is lit out of the portion, but it is part of my thought. What is the original singing? Humming. Just spontaneous expression of one's emotion. When one is happy or one is sad, something comes out from oneself in the form of a music. It's not singing a song, simply humming. And then humming becomes more and more shapely, and the musicians give shape, notations. Music became more organized, and then we can find also afterwards it becomes speaking. Originally humans have been more spontaneous. Slowly the humans became more structured, organized, speaking, and speaking also not with the grammatically correct language. Our forefathers were speaking very spontaneous way of expression. And slowly it became rigid, scientific language. Same thing we can go on to each, these are my expressions only. Originally, humans have been dancing. What kind of dance? What the child does on the spontaneously. That is dance. Slowly dance became more organized, and then it became walking. Walking also then walked like the organized way of walking. Slowly, what I want to say is that it is becoming more and more organized. Originally, it was more spontaneous expression. Drawing, curved line. Original drawing was with a curved line. Then it became straight line, organized. And then became writing. And then another one maybe more interesting, more important, playing. And in that playing, I make a playing as children. That is the real play. What is the difference between play by the children and play by the grown-ups? Today we have play. They are not, the games, they are not real play. Original meaning of play is what the children do. How do they do? They are not following, there is no referee, there is no umpire, there is no rule. What they do is the play. They heap up some sand and then destroy. That is the play. And that original play, that spontaneous expression of themselves, that eventually became organized play. Organized play. It becomes so, and after every Olympics or every World Cup, the play becomes more and more rigid. Everything, we cannot even now already we cannot speak loud. Only one can speak. Only captain can speak. And also when he speaks, he cannot raise the hand. A pitch also has to be, everything is controlled. Completely, it is no more a play. It is simply organized, structured action. We cannot even breathe properly. But the original meaning of play is spontaneity. That has gone in the organized play of the civilized world of today. So that movement from the spontaneity to the structured style, that is what we are referring to by Dionysian, I am putting it opposite way. This one should be other way. This should come here and this should come here. These things. The singing, dancing, drawing, playing, all these things are Dionysian, and these things are Apollonian. This is only just, but the explanation I not made a mistake. So I think the message or the meaning, what I want to communicate is that Nietzsche understood the distinction, not simply distinction, how originally humans were spontaneous in expression, and slowly eventually it became more organized. And we think that organized expression is a growth. We have been thinking that way. It is organized. The music is organized. The dance is organized. We think we have grown. But Nietzsche questions that one. Today's contemporary thinkers questions that one, whether it is a real growth. Eventually, as you go through the different philosophers and the thought, then you will understand it is not a growth. It is a deviated growth. Nietzsche and Heidegger will show that one. It is a growth, but the deviated growth, because from the original meaning, we have deviated. Now, in this context, I just want to introduce a concept which is not part of the third year philosophy course, but a concept that goes well here. How the so-called growth of the humans, which is more towards organization and structuralization, which can be applied. I have applied it to different contexts, to religion. The original religiosity became now organized religion, structured religion with the cult and practices. But religiosity is gone. The spirit is gone. What remains only the external appearance. What I want to say that the notion or the theme or the concept I want to introduce is hybridization. Hybridization. I am not going to elaborate this point. Those of you who want, you can read my article in the encyclopedia, ACP encyclopedia, under the title Hybridization. Those of you who are interested, it should be interested also. Because much of this year's, it's only a small article, but which the thought struck me. It is my contribution to the philosophical world. I introduced it in the different seminars, and then I got a positive response. Then finally I introduced in the encyclopedia. What is the message? What is the sum and substance of this, the meaning of hybridization? We know the meaning of hybrid variety. We all look for the hybrid seeds, hybrid plant, hybrid rose flower, hybrid dogs, everything. Hybrid takes place by crossbreeding. And we think that something better is coming out. The understanding that we have is something better. This thought struck me. I am an observer, I am a thinker. Somebody took me, when I went to some classes, to a big seminary, and they took me to show their hybrid dogs, very ferocious, gigantic, frightening, and nice to look at. And he wanted to create a good impression on me that they have hybrid dogs. My thought immediately went back to some of the events that took place, that I have experienced in the life of others. Hybrid dogs, put in a summary form, hybrid dogs can never be trusted. We do not know at what time it is going to attack you. It has happened to some of my companions. Someone who was feeding the dog daily with the biscuit, it used to jump and catch. One biscuit fell down. He stooped to take the biscuit in order to give it up again. Immediately the dog jumped and caught hold of his neck. Hybrid dog. An ordinary dog will never, even if you beat, if you have been feeding the dog, it will not bite you. That is the ordinary dog. We can trust. Hybrid dogs can never be trusted. Now what I want is my problem is not establishing that one. My problem is I am making a thought saying that the dogness of the dog, we are taking it by hybridization, we are taking a distance away from the original. What a dog is expected to be. When you speak about a dog, when we have a notion of a dog who can be trusted, that can be trusted, and that we can keep it as the watchdog, and that idea is deviated. It has become exteriorly wonderful, very ferocious, appearance wonderful, very colorful. But then, as far as the dogness of the dog is concerned, the being of the dog, it has taken a distance away from the original meaning of being a dog. And that is only a point of departure. I am applying that one to extending the meaning to many other things. What about the flowers? Hybrid flowers. Hybrid flowers are nothing other than plastic flowers. Plastic flowers will last. Hybrid flowers are only shape, nice. There are no rose flowers today. There are only yellow flowers and red flowers. Nice to look at, no fragrance. In appearance, wonderful. But the rose flower, the genuine meaning of rose flower, that is lost. Just as the dogness is lost in the hybrid dogs, the rose flower also, it has become now, we have only large flowers, very bright color, but no fragrance. Big, this one, grapes, as big as tomato. Big grapes, but no taste. No taste. We can take it for offertory procession. Nice to look at. But the taste of the, what is called the grape, the being of the grape is not grown, but it has deteriorated. I don't want to say that one. It has changed for better or worse, that you decide. I'm not going to give many examples or the various fruits. We are all, because we have a kind of a understanding, anything that is hybrid is something wonderful. It is exteriorly wonderful, just as the flower, just as the fruits. Now I am coming to humans. I am applying that one to the human beings. The human beings today, which is same as the civilized humans of today, they are hybrid humans. Hybrid. They are better dressed, more elegant, better language, good diction, all those things. Exteriorly wonderful. Exteriorly wonderful, like the hybrid dog, like the hybrid flower. But then, as far as the humanness of the human is concerned, the humanness of the human, are we grown? The civilized, hybridized humans of today, are we better human than our forefathers who were not in appearance, who were not so elegant as we are today? But as far as the humanness is concerned, it is my question. And that I am not making a sweeping statement. I have ample examples that I used to give about even this, what is called copying the examination. We are hybrid, we are civilized, but then we cannot be trusted. So are we grown? Some 40 years back, when I was traveling to Pune, 40 years or 40, that there were no rings or hooks fixed under the berth to chain your luggage. We used to keep the luggage under the berth, take it morning, and you go. Nobody was there to steal. Today, we have come to a situation where we have to chain the luggage, not with one chain, several chains. Why? Economically, financially, people are better off. But then, as far as the humanness is concerned, whether it is better or worse, you decide. You may not know. I mean, even now, I think the villages here and many other places, I don't think they are locked in the kitchen. The kitchen vessels are out. The buffaloes are tied out. Now we have come to a situation where we need to keep the CC camera, magnifying glass, and before you open, you make sure. Otherwise, our doors were open. Nobody was thinking of stealing. Now new ways of stealing are come. We are devising because we have become civilized and hybridized humans. Now, this is the meaning of hybridization. So, the original genuineness is getting lost or deviated. Now, I have challenged many of the Westerners. I told you, say these people are civilized. I have made a distinction in one of my papers. Made a distinction between culture and civilization. Many have not thought about it, but I have developed that one. Most of them were Europeans. And I asked, when you say these people are civilized, when you make a judgment, what are the basis, what are the criterion on which you make the judgment? On the external appearance. They are better dressed, better language, better way of behavior, at least outside. They are civilized. They may be rotten in their being, but they are civilized. This is what I mean by hybridization, a kind of growth behind which we are running. We think that we are growing. Now we know what is happening with all our growth. So the insight that I had several years back, I think it is proved correct, because the so-called growth is no growth at all. We have become less trustworthy. We have become less human. We need to have invigilators everywhere. We need to have CC cameras everywhere. Why? We cannot be trusted. It was not a problem formerly. They were struggling economically, but never thought of stealing. Now we have come to a situation where we allow it to put lock and key for the buffaloes and everything. Already the fowls and goats are being stolen. So where we are standing, that is the type of growth we have come to. So this so-called growth, which is an Apollonian process, more organized, more systematic. The original the original spirit, the original charism that is slowly getting lost. Every religious congregation, especially the established ones, the original spirit, it is given shape. Apollonian shape is given. The laws are for that. The constitution is only an Apollonian embodiment of the original charism. That is the reason Vatican Council is telling, go back to the original charism and make sure, don't take the Apollonian structuralization as the reference point. Reference is the original charism. So also, we also made Christ and a structure. I put in one of my, they liked it, when I gave a talk in Trivandrum, where the cardinal also was there, that I told, we have mummified Christ. Mummified. That means Christ into a dead object and keeping that Christ of our shape, not only mummified as Christ, but a Christ of my liking. More of that one will come eventually. So this is the type of growth that we are making, and we think that we are growing. I am challenging that one. Challenging with the sufficient reasons and experience. I am challenging the so-called presumption of the growth that we have made as civilized people of 21st century. We have no right to laugh at the people of yesteryears because we have not grown. That is all. Thinking people will understand that one. But others, those who are carried away by the exterior, they do not get it. I told about the religion also, religiosity. All my thoughts and everything is in that direction. If we are not doing anything out of conviction, out of conviction that you are touched you, we are only just falling back to the exterior, a few activities of the exterior. The exterior must be expression of what is the inner. So, just in this context, I introduced this particular thought. It is not a part of, Nietzsche has not thought about that one, but then Nietzsche's thought has inspired me to get into this thought about hybridization. So the original innocence, the original genuineness is slowly getting lost, but then we thought it is given better shape, organized. Metaphors die to give way to precise concepts. Originally, our thoughts were expressed in terms of metaphors, intuitions, poetic sparks. They are given shape in the form of concepts, precise concepts. The idea of forgiveness is given in the form of a metaphor, form of a parable, form of a story. That is Dionysian. But that Dionysian is given a shape very precisely. A paragraph is written on forgiveness in scientific language, very precise. But then it can become empty if the spirit is not there. So that is the type of growth. Everywhere we can find that one. Rationality prevails in truth. Intuition in art. So in truth, it is true. That means corresponds with the reality, conceptual truth. Intuition in art. Rationality is the destiny of any intuition that survives, and intuition is the source of inner rationality that prevails. That means intuition eventually will become rationality, organized, conceptualized. It will become. And then vice versa, intuition is the source of any rationality that prevails. Any organized structure, when you go back to the origin, we can find an intuition. Now it has become sedimented. It has become structured. It is already dead. But before it came to this situation of truth and concept, it was a live, a dynamic intuition that was stagnated and made into a truth. Now we have killed intuition and made a truth, and we think we have done a good job. I know these expressions are a bit too high. It's too high. So you need to think, and then slowly something may strike. Art uses deviant images and expressions. Deviant means creative way of presenting. Something which I always insist on. Why do you want to repeat the same thing? That means you are so poor. You are nothing, so poor with ideas. So art uses deviant means fresh and creative images and expressions. Truth uses already weighed out images. The same thing is repeated. Same thing. Which most of the people are prone to fall into weighed out images. Same style. Prayer song, words of welcome, and then finally, what is called words of gratitude, one final hymn. Same thing is repeated. Thoughtless way of doing it. Fresh images eventually become established truths expressed in concepts. So this conceptual growth, now we'll see it later, that philosophy also is Socrates, Plato and Aristotle, they looked at the pre-Socratic thinking. It was more of a metaphors. They were using more poetry, images. It is not precise. They are simply using metaphors as Indian philosophy uses. So they wanted to be precise, conceptually precise. Philosophy, the so-called Western philosophy, officially began with these three great masters. And what they have done a good job. As far as the logic is concerned, wonderful. As far as the precision is concerned, nobody can beat. But then it is at the expense of at the expense of art, at the expense of creativity, at the expense of fresh images. Creativity is stagnated. Now you follow this particular way. We are straight-jacketed. Nietzsche considered himself to be an apostle of impulse and unreason, life and intuition. So he is bringing out what was stagnated and buried. What was buried? Intuition was there originally. That is made into concepts and buried. Now he is telling we have to bring them out. Bring them out. So Nietzsche is an apostle of life and intuition, life and dynamism, creativity. He changes the original opposition by equating Apollonianism with Socratism. That means Apollonianism or Socratism and eventually Christianity. They all point to the same direction. Organized structure. Socrates is the one who started giving precision to the pre-Socratic thinkers. And then slowly, that is Apollonian style, and then Christianity took it over. So they all point to the same direction. He considered Socrates as the beginning of artistic catastrophe and the decline of Greek tragedy. With Socrates and the other two friends of his, or the Plato and Aristotle, with these three great masters, Greek art is catastrophe, artistic catastrophe. Art is dead. Greek tragedy is dead because they highlighted on the Apollonian, conceptual clarity, structured precision. The post-Socratic philosophy took the universe as intelligible through and through. It contrasted the rational and truth with artistic and illusion. So preference was for the rational and truth. In Nietzsche's later writings, he proposed a more balanced approach in which art is a necessary complement to reason. So, without going from moving from one to the other, then it will be two extremes. Now, so far it was truth. Now, let us take only art. He is not solely telling the priority of art, the priority of intuition, the priority of creativity. And that we have forgotten. He is bringing out that one, and he is not telling that other things are to be thrown out, because we need some. So that is the one expression I used here. In Nietzsche's later writing, he proposed, for Nietzsche, reason provides devices for navigating in the fearful and moving waters of life. We need some sort of Apollonian elements in order to give shape. Otherwise, I will not be able to speak. That is, I am giving shape. Or when I write, is still more. Shape becomes more established when I write. That is the reason when many were asking me, the previous bishop was asking me to put down or write, print in the form of a book, my insights. But then I always find it, when I give a shape, I am killing the creativity. I am putting a full stop. I do not want. Some of the things I am postponing, because when I put a full stop, when I write, when I print, it has already become an established truth. This is, everybody will fall back on that one. Creativity is stagnated when we put them into precise concepts and expressions. So, but then Nietzsche says, we need, reason provides devices for navigation in the fearful and moving waters of life. The waters of life, that is the creativity, that is emotions. But we need to navigate, we need some sort of devices, some sort of boats we need, and that is provided by the what do you call, the Apollonian element. So we need something Apollonian, but then the primacy has to be given for the Dionysian. I think a very important point I have put forward. This is the kind of basis for the contemporary thought pattern. An opening is given. So he has been criticizing. Nietzsche is known as a critic. What was he critical about? It is not enough to quote a few sentences and keep it. What is the main point? The main point of criticism is stagnation. The whole traditional thought was decadent, and decaying is what? Anything that is stagnant. Anything that is stagnant is decaying. Traditional thought and way of life was stagnant, structured, organized, immovable. This is the definition. So there is no other definition. So that kind of putting a full stop for thought. As against that one, Nietzsche says, originally humans were dynamic. Originally we have been artists, but then art got stagnated because of the overpowering by truth. So if we want to put it in systematic way, what is the truth? What is the truth? Eventually we will know. In postmodern thought, there is no the truth. There is nothing. That truth is not something that is packed and kept. There is no the truth. I know you are not able to understand that one, but meaning of the truth. Truth is the way reality speaks. Not simply a dead truth that goes beyond time and space. So Nietzsche in that way is those of us who are able to understand Nietzsche in its depth, we understand the opening that he has given is marvelous, which is not given in simple language, in very poetic language with a great depth. And later philosophers, especially Heidegger, is developing, taking it further, giving more clarity to what Nietzsche has opened out in poetic language.